Welcome to the very first episode of THIAGO'S Barmy, the podcast where we talk about everything Chelsea. I'm Zach, I'm from France, and here are my other co-hosts.
I'm Oscar Caio Evans.
Hi, I'm Dylan Salt, I'm from North West London.
Hi, I'm Calvin, and I'm from Germany.
So today we're going to talk about different subjects. We're going to talk about the players who left on international duty and how they fared during those games. Then we're going to talk about the sort of recent news about Kanté possibly wanting a move after falling out with head coach Frank Lampard. And then we'll talk about the upcoming Champions League game. But first, we're going to talk about yesterday's game against Crystal Palace. Boys, what were your thoughts on that game? Oscar, maybe?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a game which sort of like perfectly sums up how people expect Chelsea to play this season. I thought the attack was really good and obviously exciting. We looked like we played good football, but again, it's sort of like individual little errors that is going to cost us points this season. And with Kepa in goal, it doesn't help. So any error that was made, we were like punished by it. So I think it was more so two points dropped rather than any points gained.
Yeah, because you were up like 2-0.
We were up 2-0, yeah. We were in the
2-0, then 2-1, then...
It's just classic, Chelsea.
Last time Chelsea drew 3-3, obviously, they had to come back and make their way back against West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah, which was good.
Was more like a point gain, but Chelsea should probably never get into that situation where they're 3 goals behind at half time.
If we're supposedly, should be challenging for the title this season, as a lot of people would say, we shouldn't be in that position in the first place. And even if we are playing badly, we should be able to grind out like a win, like other teams would do. So,
but any thoughts on how Kepa's been performing recently? Obviously, Chelsea have brought in Edouard Mendy from Rennes for quite an important fee. Do you think Kepa should still be starting at this moment in time?
Yeah, no, I think Kepa should be starting, really. If he was on international duty, he was starting for Spain. So really, he should be starting for Chelsea. I know there was sort of competition between him and Willie, who played in the FA Cup. But obviously, I know Willie's a decent keeper, but really, we've got a supposedly £70 million keeper. He should be starting, no matter what form he's in. But yeah, no, I think you can clearly see that he's really shaky, and he's just nervous. Like it's the same thing. I can remember Torres was after he got a few, missed a few chances. You could just see he was so unconfident. The worst position you can have to be unconfident is a goalkeeper, because it starts from the back, and we're looking to play out from the back, and he obviously can't do that. So, but we do have Mendy, but obviously he's injured. So,
but don't you think Kepa's been given like way too many chances, and he's possibly lost his time at Chelsea?
I think so. I think he needs a loan move, really. But we brought Mendy in for him to fight for his place. But if what he did yesterday is fighting for his place, then he's not going to get his place once Mendy's back from injury.
I don't think it's all Kepa's fault though, because yes, he's a class. I still think he's still quite young. He's still got potential, but I think it's also defensively.
Yeah.
Defensively at fault, because they're just letting balls come over the top, balls go through them, like especially with the signing of what's his name, Thiago Silva. Like he was like, you signed him to harden your defense, but so far I don't think, although he's been playing decently, I don't think so far he's proved to be worth it, in my opinion.
We didn't play yesterday, did he?
I mean, yeah, he's a free transfer, but yeah, he really should be coming in and solidifying the defense. But I think he has done that sort of. We don't look as shaky with him at the back. He's very organised, and you can see that he's an experienced defender. But I think also it doesn't help that he doesn't speak English yet. So half of our backline are speaking French, and I don't know what Chilwell's speaking to them. So it's a bit of a weird one. I think it'll take time for them to gel, sort of. But yeah, I don't think we can all blame it on Kepa, because it's the defenders that put him into the positions he's been in.
Exactly.
On the second goal yesterday, it was really, to me. Yeah, although Kepa had a howler, I think Zuma made the major error.
Yeah, I think
you should never be passing it back like that to your keeper.
Yeah, and there should be better communication. I didn't see him give a shout because he knows Kepa's unconfident and doesn't want to be running out on running out anymore, and he just put him in that sort of position. I think he should have just put his foot through it, but it's all like if buts and maybes, really.
Yeah. Any
I
thoughts?
think it's up to the players. It's up to the players to like lifting up Kepa now, because that's potentially what he needs before.
I don't see any of that. He's quite isolated, I think, and he needs just someone to bring his confidence back up. But I don't see that happening really with our defence at the minute. But.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully, like Thiago Silva, you think? I mean, I know he doesn't speak very good English at the moment. Might do in the future. Would be the man to do that with his experience at PSG and AC Milan, being regarded as one of the best centre backs in the world for like the last 10 years. So hopefully, eventually, if he can, like you said, Calvin, like really solidify Chelsea's defence, and he could be the man to sort of like, as I say, put an arm around the shoulder of Kepa and sort of help him grow into the player that Chelsea spent 70 million on. But with the rest of the defence, I don't know. It's a bit of a tough one because, I think the centre backs have improved. I think Zuma has improved from his days when he was at like Everton, on loan at Stoke. He's improved a bit from last season, but still probably isn't at the level you need to be challenging right at the very top of the Premier League. Thiago Silva, in his prime, world-class centre-back, maybe a bit older now, but should still be the right sort of player they're looking to select and improve and sort of, improve the confidence of the rest of the defence. But then I think you look at Chilwell, they spent a lot of money on him. Yeah, he's got loads of potential. Going forward, he's pretty good. Like, he could put in some pretty spectacular crosses. Defensively, he's decent. He was like resilient for Leicester. But I think, say he gets an injury, or again, because of his age, maybe in like European competitions or throughout the course of a Premier League season, he isn't always at the level needed to be challenging Liverpool, maybe even Everton this season. Then you look at the next player in line, it's Marcus Alonso. And I really don't think that, I think before he was pivotal to one of Chelsea's title wins, definitely. But nowadays, I really think he stands out as a pretty poor defender for me in the Premier League.
That was sort of when we had the wing back.
Yeah.
And that is where he is at his best. But last season, you could see when we were playing the 4-3-3, we were exposed a lot in the left back position. And I think we've done really well to sign Ben Chilwell. I know you might argue, or people might argue, he's not like a title winning left back, but in the last 2-3 games he's played, he's been one of the best players on the pitch. And I think if Werner wasn't playing so well, he would have got man of the match again yesterday. I thought he was brilliant, Ben Chilwell. So really, the position which we looked our weakest in last season, we've managed to, I think, it's early days, but I think we've managed to improve on that a lot. So I don't think you can judge him that quick, but yeah.
So on the topic of Werner, as we've talked about the defence being not a shambles, but like...
No, it's not a shambles, but it's
quite underperforming considering the way Chelsea have played going forward. Yesterday, Werner got 2 goals and an assist, played some stellar attack, and Chelsea really looked to be a menacing force, at least up top in the Premier this season, I think.
Yeah, I can see Werner getting 20 goals this season. I think he's the perfect player we needed for our attack. He's pacey. We can just chip balls in behind to him. And yeah, he just showed why he was worth the money last game. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's just like an all-round attacker, and he's still young, so he's got plenty of room to improve. But I also think that his bond with Kai Havertz is exceptional. Both German attackers are working very well together, as you can see from last game. But I think Havertz is still, trying to fit in, because I think he was the one who gave away the ball to concede that second goal. Was it?
The first
one.
I think,
first one then. So I think, there's still improvement to be made, but you can see the potential in both of them.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think Werner was a really, really good signing. I think he's going to just take Chelsea to the next level in terms of the attack. And if they want to try and mount a title challenge, then he's definitely a striker who's good enough to do that. You just look at his statistics whilst playing for RB Leipzig. I think over 4 seasons, he scored huge amounts of goals. I think last season his figures were pretty ridiculous in all competitions. So he's coming to an age now where he's in or almost at his prime. He's going to be lethal up front for them. And then the rest of the attackers they signed, I mean, like Ziyech from Ajax, I think is a pretty exceptional addition. And then, like you said, Havertz is like, he's a quality player. You can just tell from watching some of the matches in the Premier League. He might take a bit of time to adapt, but I think in no time at all, he will, you know, whilst Chelsea's defence might not always complement the rest of the team, those guys will be linking up and like causing destruction for most opposition they play against. So if they can tighten it up, which hopefully won't take too long for their case, then they could be a really, really good team.
Yeah, Timo Werner seems to be, to me at least, like the ideal Premier League striker. He's pacey, he's got skills. He manages to get in the back of the defenders quite a lot. On the 2 goals he scored, both of them were through balls.
Yeah.
And each time, the first goal, he put a body fake in and got past the defender without even touching the ball.
Yeah.
The second goal, he managed to hold off the defender for quite a while before dinking it over the keeper. And I just found him extremely impressive on the counter and in normal play too.
Yeah, I think he's just a striker which any defender would have a problem dealing with, no matter what team he's in. If he's got that, you know, that pace, he's just any ball over the top and there's a problem for the other team. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's not just his pace and his flipping and shooting ability. It's also his calmness on the ball, which is proven by, you know, the second goal. Just that ability to lift it over the keeper and then to have the audacity to just little header into the back of the net is unbelievable.
Composure. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
What improvements do you think the team should make going into next game?
What improvements?
Yeah.
Like what should
yeah, should they try and improve? What things or aspects of the game do they need to try and improve on?
I think we need a rejig of the defence. I think Reece James was really good. I know he got red carded for England, but I thought he was brilliant for England when he came on. So I think Reece James straight back in there, and also I think he goes like uncriticised a bit, like under the radar a bit because he's been so good in recent years. But Kanté.
Yeah,
Kanté's been really on and off, and I think Kovacic, he won our Player of the Year last season. I don't see why he can't get in the squad. I think maybe I'm not sure why he wasn't in the team yesterday. He wasn't even in the squad, but like I think he was on international duty with Croatia. But yeah, I think a rejig, Kovacic into the midfield, and Reece James in for Aspi would be a good addition for the next game.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think just communication. Focus on communication, especially with the goalkeeper. And yeah, I think definitely make sure to include Kanté because he was a vital part of that midfield last season. So yeah.
Yeah, similar really. I think just more communication confidence starting back with Kepa, someone, maybe Thiago Silva to sort of try and boost his self-belief. And then the midfield, I think, whilst the attack, like we said, is so good, Werner could really be a revelation for them. The midfield is pretty talented, and I do agree with Oscar. I think Kovacic goes a bit unnoticed and is potential to maybe one day be a world-class midfielder. I think he's got a lot to his game. He gets around the park really well. He can tackle, he can distribute the ball quickly and effectively. So bring him into the lineup, and not only will it probably add a bit more creativity and sort of dynamism to the attack, it'll also be the area in between which can really help solid up the defence, stop attacks from leaking through, and make Chelsea team that concedes scores a lot more than they concede.
Moving on, we're going to talk about Chelsea players who left on international duty. I'll start. Giroud and Kanté both got a call up for France this time around. In the first game, France beat Ukraine 2-1. And Olivier Giroud got quite an impressive brace, scoring a great shot from outside the box into the left corner. And then off a rebound of a shot by Aouar, he scored a header. And those 2 goals were his 41st and 42nd goals for France, which takes him to the second spot in the leading goal scorers to the French national team ever. And he also got his 100th cap against Ukraine, very impressive. However, he wasn't as important in the second game against Portugal, where France drew 0-0, but still, it's quite an impressive performance for Giroud because he's had his career, he only started playing for France at 25. He got his first call up at 25, and he's now one of 8 players to have over 100 caps for the team. And And yeah, he's the second leading goal scorer, which seems mad considering he's among players like Thierry Henry, Michel Platini, Zinedine Zidane, Victor Trezeguet, all that kind of stuff, all that kind of player. And yeah, extremely impressive accomplishment. And as for Kanté, we played with Pogba once again for France, and both players look completely different for their national side than their club. I mean, Pogba and Kanté together, I think 26 games, like I've started 26 games together for France, and France has never lost a game whilst they both started. So again, Kanté was very impressive for his national team.
Yeah, I think Kanté and Pogba, they complement each other really well as like a two in the midfield, which is definitely why France, with those two in the midfield, will always be winning titles, I think. And like you said, with Giroud, I think he's one of those strikers which really goes under the radar, I think, because he gets a lot of stick for not, he's not the most enjoyable to watch. He's not the fastest, the most skillful, but he's really good at what he does, winning headers, and I think he fits really well with the way France play, because he brings people into the game. And yeah, it doesn't surprise me really that he's second top goal scorer for France.
Alvin, any players you want to talk about?
So yeah, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner got the call up for Germany, as always. And to be fair, I'm not gonna, they had two great games. We played Ukraine, who we beat 2-1. Neither of them scored though. And then we played Switzerland. We drew 3-3 in that game, but Timo Werner and Kai Havertz had outstanding games. Both of them got a goal, and I think we really should have won that game. So I'm not gonna, point fingers and say they're at fault here, but I think if it wasn't for them, we would have lost that game because they were crucial up front. So yeah, I think both of them had great, international breaks. And yeah, that's what I've really got to say.
Okay. Any players you thought stood out for any other teams?
Yeah, so with the England national team, obviously there's quite a few just players that could potentially be involved. Like Chilwell was involved this time when he normally is. Tammy Abraham did get a call up, but obviously because of like the media incident with his sort of planned or not planned birthday party, he didn't get any game time. But players did get game time. Had Reece James coming and making his England debut, and Mason Mount, I think, featured in all the matches actually quite a lot. In a new role really for the England team. It's quite interesting to watch. Reece James only played in the match against, I'm trying to remember who our most recent match against, Denmark match, and he started in like a right wing back role. Lots of competition for places there in the England squad. I think there's like 6 players who could play there potentially, all at a pretty good level. So he's got competition, but he didn't do himself any harm at all. I thought he played really, really well. Just a steady performer, really. Defensively, was very resolute. Didn't really let anything get past him. There's some decent, quite exciting plays in the Denmark attack. So he held up pretty well, certainly on his debut. And going forward, he was probably one of our best outlets, really. I mean, people often sort of like praise, and I would argue almost glorify someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold with his crossing ability, especially from the right flank. But I thought Reece James was probably a bit more like clever and thoughtful with the runs he made. He liked to time his runs, pick the right moment, and when he did, the crosses that he picked out for the likes of Harry Kane, Rashford, Calvert-Lewin when he came on were almost like had absolute pinpoint accuracy. So I thought he played very, very well, despite the red card at the end, which kind of adds to England's relative discipline issue. He was arguably the stand-up performer. And then with Mason Mount, I thought in all the games, again, he didn't do his Euro shots any harm. Caught the eye a bit in more of an attacking role. Scored a goal against Wales, which did take a massive deflection, but to take a shot from there is a bit of a clever idea. Linked up play well. Sometimes I thought maybe he could sort of like be a bit more of a physical presence, maybe sort of look to be a bit stronger or put more of a challenge in against his opposite fullback. But ultimately, he's there to attack and create chances. He did that well. He got himself a goal. So yeah, he was also quite impressive on international duty. Probably be getting a call up again. So yeah, I mean, they both played well, but I thought Reece James on his debut was very good, especially considering the competition for places that England have at right back at the moment.
Yeah, I was just going to follow up on what Dylan said quickly about Reece James. I think he's really good competition for the right back place for England. I think obviously they've got 4, maybe even 5 places, competing there. Kyle Walker and Trent Alexander-Arnold and Wan-Bissaka. But I think obviously there's a big sort of rivalry between Liverpool and Man United of who's better, Wan-Bissaka or Alexander-Arnold. I know Alexander-Arnold offers a lot going forward and is sometimes a bit shaky going back. And it's sort of the opposite with Wan-Bissaka. I know he scored a goal yesterday, but really going forward, he's not as good as probably people would argue Alexander-Arnold is. But I think with Reece James, he gives a bit of both. I think his crossing was really good against was it Denmark?
Yeah.
I think his crossing was really good, and like you said, yeah, stellar performance. Considering it was his debut, he looked like he'd played there for a lot longer.
Definitely.
Yeah. Reece James is really good competition for England. I think if he hits his potential, he offers a lot going forward and back. Whereas you could argue Alexander-Arnold or Wan-Bissaka don't offer both. Get both. I think. So yeah, I think Reece James offers the best, like sort of both worlds as a right back. Ziyech for Morocco. Is it Morocco? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's obviously unfit at the minute. He only got 20 minutes, I think, yesterday for Chelsea, but he did come on for Morocco, and I think he assisted. I didn't watch the game, but apparently he did change the game, so it's good to see him hopefully returning fit and hopefully getting a start next game. I'd like to see that. Maybe he doesn't deserve it, but it wouldn't surprise me if Lampard sticks him in just to change him.
Just to give him some game time and integrate him into the team.
And Kepa looks like a completely different keeper on international duty. I think he got a clean sheet. I know it wasn't he didn't make too many saves, but the positives are, he got a clean sheet. So I know he really needs sort of like a boost in confidence when it comes to playing for Chelsea, but he does look like he's in a lot more of a safer environment when he's with Spain, which is another reason really I think we should be loaning him out maybe to a Spanish club again. I don't think we should be selling him, but I think loaning him out would be a safe bet because he's still young.
Okay.
Yeah, all positive for the players that played.
Right, so change of subjects now. About 2 weeks ago, a story came out about Kanté possibly wanting a move because he'd fallen out with Lampard. Obviously, Kanté's been a key part in Chelsea's recent successes, whether that be the Premier League title in 2017 or the Europa League title in 2019. However, he's dropped off a bit recently. He's had a couple of injury problems. And apparently he's fallen out with Lampard. So what are your thoughts on that?
I didn't really look too much into it. I know it was something to do with a wedding. I'm sure they could sort of sort that out between them. But I couldn't see Kanté wanting to leave, really. I don't think he's the sort of player that would like force his way out of a club. I think he's too respectful to leave a club in that sort of way. And I think it's a bit weird if he does want to leave, him saying it now, straight after the transfer window's just ended. And I think he's still got a good few, maybe even 5 years left in him at Chelsea. And I think he should be really important for us this season. So I wouldn't want to see him go. And it would be very surprising if he did force his way out. So, yeah.
Because he is one of those players that offers specific characteristics that you can't really find in any other kind of player.
Yeah.
He's got a very unique style of play, and he'd be key to any team in the world.
I think on his day, really, he is the best CDM in the world. But like, it's with Chelsea's midfield, it's been quite hard for us to fit him in the sort of the role he wants to play with Jorginho recently. But if we can get the right sort of role for him, I think he'd be instrumental this season for us. So I wouldn't want to see him go.
Yeah, I don't think any team could turn down Kanté because what he does in the centre of midfield, especially defensively and also attackingly, is incredible. His work rate on the pitch is outstanding, and I don't think any player right now in my head could compare to that.
Yeah,
it would be a huge loss for Chelsea.
I think really, if he did, hand in a transfer request, I think he could fit into any club in the world. Really, it wouldn't surprise me if Bayern Munich went for him, not just Inter Milan. So I don't think we should be letting him go that easily.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what these guys say, and sort of echo your thoughts about the unique characteristics. I mean, not only is he pretty outstanding box-to-box football player, saw it first in the Leicester City title-winning team, probably, aside from Vardy scoring the goals, the most important player, really. They wouldn't have won it without him. Then joining Chelsea, he's been pivotal in a lot of their successes. Nowadays, maybe a bit more on and off, but I think the whole of the Chelsea team are, as they're looking to rebuild with a new era with Frank Lampard in charge. But, you see him play for France, best international team in the world for me, without doubt. He is still as important as he is for France as he was for Leicester and Chelsea at the start. So class is permanent with Kanté, and he's always going to do a job that he does, that we know he can do. I think his engine, his sort of ability to keep going throughout the game is pretty incredible. The way he has an eye for like intercepting passes that not many other midfield players can see is also pretty special. He knows when to nick in there, win the ball, and then his distribution after that is also pretty special too. I think just that ability, coupled with his tenacity and his know-how, just how to get around the pitch, break play up, look for balls that other players don't look for, read danger, anticipate it, and then occasionally pop up on the attack and create something as well when players who don't have the same athleticism, energy, he has the ability to do it. He always keeps going throughout the match. And I think, if Chelsea lost him, it'd be an absolutely massive blow. So hopefully there's not too much in it for Chelsea fans. And Frank Lampard, I mean, if he was a wise manager, he'd be keeping Kanté at whatever cost, because like Oscar said, he could fit into any team in the world, and I think any team in the world would take him, even probably Bayern Munich at this moment in time. They just lost Thiago, who has looked, I thought sometimes looked a bit shaky yesterday, but by the end of the match, that ball he played for Mane, which should have been a goal for Henderson, it was pretty exquisite. So he'll be a big miss, but Kanté, if Chelsea were to fall out with him for whatever reason, he could be a pretty good replacement for Thiago, maybe even better with a bit of coaching. So phenomenal player, and Chelsea should keep him at all costs, really, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we're coming close to the end of the podcast, but finally we're going to talk about the upcoming fixture for Chelsea. Obviously, they're starting their Champions League campaign on Tuesday as they welcome Sevilla at the Bridge. Sevilla lost their last game in La Liga 1-0, but obviously they are the reigning Europa League champions. So, Calvin, how do you think that's going to go?
I think it's going to be a difficult game for Chelsea, especially because of Sevilla's stature, and obviously they have just recently won the Europa League. But I think if Chelsea turn up, I think they'll be unstoppable, especially with their attack. If their attack plays like they did against, or like they did in the Premier League, where Werner and all their attack, all the other players, I think they'll have a great chance of winning it, and especially coming top of the group in their group.
Yeah, it's an interesting group, I think, Chelsea have, obviously, with Stade Rennais and Krasnodar. It seems quite open, this group, and anyone really could qualify depending on the different teams' forms going into the competition.
Yeah, I think finally we've been given a pretty generous group. I think over the years we've been stitched up a few times, like Champions League groups wise, but we've been given sort of like I would say Man City group, because they usually get the easy run. I wouldn't say it's a very easy group, because Sevilla obviously an established team. They won the Europa League last season, but really we should be topping that group. It wouldn't surprise me. Sorry, if we do top the group.
I think Rennes will be an interesting team to watch, obviously, from Liga.
Rennes sort of like a bogey team in that group.
They're not established at all in Europe. It's their first participation in the Champions League. However, they've got a really promising player in Eduardo Camavinga, who's only 17, but who already looks outstanding. Looks outstanding for France already in the few games he's played, and he's been excellent since last season for Rennes. And until this weekend, they were top of Ligue 1. Paris obviously went past them to claim the number one spot. But I think Rennes will be an interesting team to watch. So it's not as open as it may seem, but I think it'll be a very interesting group.
Yeah. So you obviously know more about Ligue 1 than I do. You said Rennes were top of the league. Did you say?
They were until this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, I think it might not be the best of time for Chelsea to play the the second best team in the group, Sevilla, with the form that we're in. But if you're saying that Rennes were top of the, are in really good form in the League One, then maybe it's a blessing that we're not playing them now and we're playing Sevilla now. Sevilla, I think you said lost 1-0 against.
Yep, that's it.
Obviously, both teams aren't in the best of form, but yeah, I think we can make a good game of this, and I think we should really be getting 3 points here.
Yeah, pretty much same as you guys. Like with, I think the group, I would back Chelsea to win it, to top it really. But I think with the rest of the teams, I think Sevilla, they have European credentials with the Europa League. They've got, I think they won it 5 times or something as a record. So I mean, I know it's not the prestige, the European elite competition, but you still have to win it. It's there to be won. They've done that. I think they've got some good players. I think their goalkeeper, I can't remember his name, but when I watched him last season, throughout it, he was exceptional. Like, he was really good. They wouldn't have won the competition without him. He's agile. He's really good off his line, and he just reads the game very, very intelligently. And yeah, they've got some nice attackers and a very solid defense. So I mean, both matches will be tough, but I would back Chelsea to come out on top. And then Rennes, I think I learned a bit about them recently. I think the manager only not too long ago got the job at Rennes, and I think he's a son or he's a relative of a French coach.
Got to the round of 16 a few years ago in the Europa League against
maybe
Arsenal.
Yeah,
they played Arsenal, and they almost, I think they won 3-1 at the Emirates, but then got knocked out in the second leg at home.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the manager, he took on the project, and it seemed like he was a bit sort of apprehensive or nervous about, I think, the size of the club in relation to how they could do in Europe. But from when he's taken over, it's up against Arsenal. Obviously, I think Arsenal are a better team now with Arteta improving in areas where they need to improve, and they're looking like they could have a decent season in the Premier League by all means. But that was still a pretty impressive scout for like a relative unknown in Europe. Nowadays, I don't think, I mean, I wouldn't say they could go to Stamford Bridge and get a win. Not really. I think at home they could challenge Chelsea, because I've seen them play in Liga and like French Cup competitions, and they look like they like just having a go against the bigger teams and causing an upset. So I mean, maybe they could take points off them, but I wouldn't say it'd be an easy game. I mean, if I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't write them off. But with their quality and the attacking players, like Calvin said, they should be able to score a few and just see it out, really, I think. But I think it'll be quite an open group. Yeah.
Score predictions for the Sevilla game. Well, Gavin, do you want to go first? Yeah, go for it.
I think 1-0 Chelsea, but I think for Chelsea it's key not to overlook Sevilla, because I think the same happened in the Super Cup when Sevilla played Bayern. It was one of the closest games I've ever watched, literally just like Champions League final, and we just scraped the win against the Europa League champions. So I think for Chelsea, it's just best not to overlook them. But I think in the end, I think Chelsea will win 1-0 or so, something close.
Okay, Oscar?
I think it's sort of like a game that could really go either way. But obviously, I'm going to back Chelsea, and I think we'll win 2-1. I can't really see us getting a clean sheet. If we can't get a clean sheet against West Brom, these sorts of teams, I can't really see us keeping a clean sheet against Sevilla. But I'd like to think we've got the attack really to win, to beat them 2-1. So yeah, 2-1.
I think, like Calvin said before, I think Chelsea's attack will be a bit too much for Sevilla, despite them being like a resolute team that has European pedigree, and they'll be looking to prove themselves in the Champions League this year. They won't want to be a team that's just Europa League winners, the bridesmaids in Europe. They'll want to really make a name for themselves. And Lopetegui, I think as well, the manager, after a bit of a tough time in Spain and Real Madrid, will kind of want to put the cat amongst the pigeons and become a big name in management again, because there's only really Zidane at the moment with Barcelona relative turmoil in Spain. So why couldn't he be his biggest challenger? But I think their attack will have too much. And I kind of, echo Roscoe's thoughts. Defensively, whilst I think they'll improve from like West Brom and the match yesterday, I still think Sevilla aren't to be underestimated. And I would also go for 2-1 to Chelsea, actually.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think although Sevilla have an interesting centre-back in Jules Koundé, who's obviously been talked about as a target for Manchester United recently, coming from League One also. I think the matchup between Werner and Kanté on that side of the pitch will be very, very interesting. And I also think Thiago Silva will solidify the defence. Obviously, he's got that Champions League experience coming off a final with PSG. And so I think I tend to agree with 2-1 win for Chelsea, because you're never safe from a blunder from either a defender or Kepa. But I think Chelsea's attack will be able to outscore Sevilla rather than Chelsea as a team beat Sevilla.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, and now for the final part of our podcast. It will just be quick. Who was your player of the game this weekend? I think we can all agree, really.
I think, yeah, we could all be in agreement. Werner obviously got man of the match and really was the standout player of the game. I think those were his first 2 goals in the Premier League. He got an assist as well. So really, overall, good performance from him. But I think Ben Chilwell is one that goes on, not really unnoticed, but under the radar sort of, because he had an exceptional game yesterday. But I think Werner obviously overpowers that. So yeah, Werner for me.
Robin?
Yeah, I think it's clear as day. I think Werner had a great game. Obviously, his first goal in the Premier League, first 2 goals in the Premier League, and yeah, two goals and assist, and just all round star striker really in that game. So I think Werner all day.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. I think Werner really sets him apart from the rest. I think ever from when they signed him, he's looked good. I've seen him play before for Leipzig, exciting player. And since he's joined Chelsea, I've watched him, and he's been on the cusp in every game, had chances, just hasn't quite stuck the ball in the back of the net. But proved it yesterday, a couple of good goals, and he's just electrifyingly quick on the counter-attack. I think Chelsea can utilise that all season and improve their defence. Then maybe not in the Premier League, because I think it will be really competitive, and Everton are posing a real challenge with their rivals at the moment. But certainly with European exploits and with a bit of an easier group, not a really easy group, but a bit more of an open one. Maybe Werner, you're talking European away games, you progress through the knockout stages, he could be the man really leading the Chelsea line to, maybe get them to a semi-final or something. I think he's a really special player, and yeah, definitely man of the match for me yesterday in the Premier League.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Werner was stellar yesterday. I don't think you can take him out of the team now at all. The way he changed Chelsea's attack yesterday was very impressive. And as you said, I think he can be probably the key part of Chelsea's potential successes this season. That's it for the first episode of THIAGO'S Barmy. Next time around, we'll be reviewing, obviously, the matchup against Sevilla. Also, Chelsea's upcoming fixture in the Premier League against Manchester United, which will take place on Saturday. So, bye from me, from us.
Yeah. Bye from me. Sweet. Thank you. Hope to see you next week.